Hey everyone, welcome to the High Priestess Demari channel and to another collective reading. I hope you guys are doing good. So as I was preparing to do your reading, I literally heard the universe heard you, right? The universe heard you and is responding accordingly, okay? So you may be wondering why certain things are crumbling in your life right now, okay? We've been talking about these towers and how some of that energy started to really come to a head with that full moon in Scorpio that we experienced, okay? It is literally the new moon in Gemini as I do this reading, okay? So the timing is very symbolic in itself, right? But this is literally a message coming through as confirmation for you guys, okay? That the universe literally heard you. The reason it's happening is, as I've been saying on TikTok and here, is that it's happening for you, not to you, all right? So you knew something was amiss or something had come to some kind of end or plateau, stagnancy, there was no growth, okay? That actually you may you may have been in a situation where actually things were starting to dampen, lessen. You may felt like you was experiencing losses, okay? Or there was a drain, but something had to give, all right? And because you requested change, you asked for change, the universe literally responded to you, okay? I literally just saw the tower wanting to come out then, right at the back here, right? I just saw a flick of it. And I see the Magician, Gemini energy. So this is just confirmation with the Three of Pentacles that the universe is working in tandem with you, okay? It's responding to your frequency, your energy, and your desire to build, okay? To build on sturdier foundations, to build greater, okay? To build with people who are truly aligned with you, okay? We're operating from the same frequency, that have similar values, principles, goals, aspirations, people who essentially want to create, that want to strengthen, establish, people that want to build, okay? So in order for that to take place, something had to be destroyed, something that was very weak, feeble, something that was unstable, right? Something that was not of benefit. So let's have a look. What else does the universe want to relate to the collective when it comes to this, right? There's a reason this is being highlighted. Yeah, Two of Cups. For some of you, these could be relationships that are coming to an end, right? So some of you guys may have noticed that you were in partnerships that weren't actually harmonious, all right? That, yes, while, opposites attract, and your differences may have made things exciting, interesting, fun, exhilarating, maybe a bit of a roller coaster. In the end, it's going to cause wedges. In the end, it's going to cause conflict, right? And especially if one person is authentically showing up in the connection and the other person is just feeding an illusion, that's not going to sustain. That's not something that can be sustained. So if you find that your relationship is breaking down and you know that the two of you are not aligned, that your energies are actually clashing, that you're at odds, that you have completely different values, you look at things differently, you have different goals, you want to lead your lives differently, then it's just further confirmation that this is no longer the partnership for you, or perhaps it never was, right? So if a relationship is coming undone, right? If a soul tie is being cut, severed, okay? A connection being released, let it happen. Because perhaps it's meant to, perhaps the situation has run its course. Maybe you both learned what you needed to learn in the situation. Maybe this is giving you both the opportunity to grow in a situation where if you remained, all there would be is stagnancy and chaos, right? Exactly, right? Eight of Pentacles to the Six of Wands. This is all about your growth, okay? Putting what you've learned into practice in order to grow from it, in order to gain something positive from it. So it did serve a purpose. That's what you need to know. Even if you felt like this was a relationship that was detrimental, that you didn't understand why you stuck with it for so long, you still grew from it. You still gained something valuable from it. But you would have actually experienced a lot of losses had you remained in the relationship or in the connection or the situation, right? So it had to come to an end. But I do feel like you removing yourself from this environment or this relationship, this connection, whatever this partnership was, right? It is actually enabling you to continue growing, expanding, to continue doing the work within, right? And it's going to enable you to align with the next set of individuals, make the new connections, explore the new experiences, pathways, okay, that are going to be of benefit for your soul's evolution now, for your conscious awareness as well, right? You see how our eyes lit up, right? It will give you something valuable as well. So you didn't get nothing from the situation, okay? Even if you feel like you're walking away with very little, or you felt like time was wasted, you didn't come away from the situation with nothing, okay? You actually gained a lot of insight, and it has enabled you to focus on new priorities, reprioritizing what's actually important to you, okay? What you actually want to give credence to, what you actually want to invest your time, effort, resources into. So it's actually helped you to pivot, right? It's interesting because I talked about this in a recent live collective reading that I did. I've been putting snippets up on TikTok from that, okay? It's called Trust the Process, so I highly recommend checking that out if you resonate with this, okay? Because I'm telling you, like, this process didn't happen to you. This process is happening for you, okay? Exactly. Why are you in your head? What is there to be in your head about, right? The situation is playing out as it needs to. Or if this is not you, this could be the other person, right? Maybe struggling to come to terms with the fact that this is something that needs to be released, okay? This could have even become something quite toxic, right? Could have played a lot on your mental, could have made you feel stuck, trapped, in the dark, confused, right? Fearing the worst, anxious of what can happen next. Or maybe this could even be speaking on codependency, right? Maybe this was a very codependent relationship or connection, and it was something that you needed to break free from, to be able to see that you don't need to be in a union to have autonomy, right? Or to feel complete. No one completes you. Only you can complete you. Yes, granted, we are, pillars of light, all facets of source. Okay, so we are one part of a greater whole, yes. But it's not that we need to seek union in order to feel whole. It's a case of we choose union because we have something to offer, something to give. And in return, those who we choose to do life with or partner with have something that they want to offer and share with us, right? It's a shared experience. It's deciding that this is someone I want to work with closely, intimately. This is someone that I can see myself doing life with, or, I'm meant to, on some level, experience a season with, because there is growth here. There is understanding. There is expansion. There is support. There is love. There's compassion. If that's not in the equation, and all there is stress, concern, fear, worry, disappointment, disapproval, judgment, criticism, right? Whatever these 8 swords represent, because it could be multiple different things, right? If that's what's left in the equation, then this isn't it, okay? This is not the situation for you. So, yeah, it could be that some of you guys are having a hard time processing the different thoughts and emotions connected to this situation, or having a hard time, sort of truly breaking free of it, even though a connection may be ending. Or this could be the person you're dealing with, right? But you've got to remember that if this is something that's become toxic, or something that is rooted in chaos and discord rather than harmony, then I'm telling you, this is not the situation for you to be in. Okay, it shouldn't be robbing you of your peace, right? Yeah, the sun, exactly. But that's what you already know this. You're fully aware of this, the sun. That's why I feel like, that's why I was a little bit surprised that you're coming up with the 8 of Swords, because this shouldn't be anything new to you, and it's not. You are aware. You are aware, okay, with the sun, fully aware, okay, that this is not where your happiness or your peace lies. So maybe you're just got to go through the process, right? Because obviously, I don't know if it's going to be different for every person. I don't know how long it's been since you separated from this person. I don't know what the process was like. I imagine it wasn't easy, right? Especially if this especially if this has been a long-standing relationship, then there can be a lot that you need to process, right? I completely understand that. But so it's not really about you not understanding or feeling lost in the situation. It's just could be that depending on how long you were in this connection for, it's a bit of an adjustment, okay? You're going to need time to process everything and become acquainted with life as an independent person, right? But especially if there has been any kind of codependency there, then obviously you need to take time to process that and unravel that as well, because that's a whole nother layer, right? So that could be what it is, that there's layers to this, and you just need time to, process it all. It's not going to happen overnight, of course. So that I totally understand, and you need to give yourself the time that you need. Because, yeah, for some of you guys, you could have put a lot of years into this, right? Maybe 8 years, 6 years. Number 8 is coming through strong, right? So for some of you guys, you could have been in this relationship for a long time. So, of course, you need time to kind of decompress and process everything, right? It's sort of like dismantling all of these bricks one by one. So I totally get it. Yeah, 7 of Pentacles. See, some of you guys may be beating yourself up. Why did I invest so much time, effort, resources, years into this connection, into this situation, this partnership, right? Whether that's a relationship, a business partnership, right? Why don't, because I literally, and it's interesting I say that because it just reminded me of a TikTok I saw a couple of days ago about how this guy, I think he started like a clothing brand or boutique with a business partner, and his business partner was apparently very, very toxic, very malignant, right, in his behavior. And basically because they want an agreement with the running of the business or something, he decided that this partnership wasn't for him, and because he chose to break away from the business partnership, this person set out to destroy their life. And this person went through a lot, by the sounds of it. They went through a lot, right? And it's kind of giving me this energy a little bit here, right? That it's not just about what the connection was like when you're in it. Maybe you're concerned on what can happen after that in some instances, right? Especially where you have invested a lot, and you're having to walk away maybe with very little, or you feel like this person may try to take everything from you, right? Everything that you were building for, working towards, grinding for, right? So I can understand that side of it. I think there's a reason that came to mind, because that could be what some of you guys are scared of, right? That everything you've worked so hard for, everything that you've poured time, energy, resources into building, this person may try to take away from you, especially if you're married, right? And that resources are split, assets are split in both your names. Yeah, I can understand that too. And of course, my advice would always be to get in touch with your, divorce lawyer, or get in touch with legal as soon as possible if you're concerned that this person may turn nasty or, try to put you in a very difficult position. To see what your options are, to make sure that you're not going to be in an undesirable situation, Yeah, 9 of Cups. Exactly. So I feel like for you, the most important thing is just to be happy and content again, right? I'm getting that with the 9 of Cups and the Sun. Like, I don't think you even care so much about the assets or resources that you feel like you may be leaving behind or you've missed out on. Like, you was trying so hard to build on something or grow something and it didn't happen. I don't even feel like it's that's bothering you so much. I feel like you just want your happiness, right? You just want to be content. You just want to feel satisfied with, how your life is going, especially when it comes to progress. It looks like progress for you is really important. So it's not even so much about the destination. It's more like just seeing that there's growth. That's what it seems to be for you. Like, I just need to see that there's growth in a situation, whatever I'm pouring energy to, that, it's growing and it's thriving, and anyone who's a part of that is doing their part as well, right? Again, partnerships, right? But if that's not what you were experiencing, then clearly this is a situation that had to come to a final end, right? But the death card here. And so, yes, I do feel like this ending, you know, if you resonate with this, is permanent. I don't see this being resolved, but it is leading to a new beginning, a new foundation to be established elsewhere with the Four of Wands. And this is something that you can build from scratch with pure intent, right? You know exactly what energy you're pouring into it. You know exactly what you don't want to experience moving forward, right? So I feel like you're going to be very intentional with the building of this new foundation, right? Or say, you know, whatever you are sort of honed in on at this time, right? When it comes to, I don't know, maybe something you want to create specifically just for you, for yourself, right? Or, you know, if you were to have a relationship in the future, you're very clear on how you would want that to look, right? So you definitely gained insight from this. Two of Wands. Yeah, exactly. So the past is already behind you. What is done is done. But now you can focus on moving forward, okay? And what you want to experience. There's definitely a new path here available to you, okay? That is definitely connected to your joy, happiness, okay? Getting to experience the lighter things in life, right? The lighter side of life. Yeah, look, I don't even have reversals here, but the Nine of Wands is in reverse. So I'm telling you, the days of, you know, being like, almost like on edge, survival mode, fearful, concerned. Maybe you were constantly worried about bickering with this person, or, you know, this person giving you a hard time or making you feel like you can't do things on your own. That's not going to be the case. You are more than capable of striking out on your own, okay? You are more than capable. So, especially if if this other person is trying to make you fearful of establishing a life for yourself or rebuilding, starting from scratch, right? You know, even if, say, this is a business partnership, like in that example, right? You creating your own business. Don't let this person's projections and negativity stop you feeling like you can do this. I'm telling you, you can and you will do this. All right? I feel like this person has really tried to wear you down with the Nine of Wands, and I'm so sorry if you've experienced that, because it does feel, I have to be honest, it does feel abusive, right? So I'm so sorry if that's something you experience. This person trying to make you feel like you couldn't do it, that you won't be able to do it, that you need them, that you wouldn't be able to succeed with whatever it is you're setting out to do, or, you know, that it'd be a waste of your time, or that you can't rebuild, or you can't have the life that you want to experience, or you don't deserve it. That's not true, okay? You absolutely can. And this is proof that you can. Tell me more. Exactly, justice. It's like what I'm telling you. If you resonate with this, you have to check out those readings on TikTok. Because I was saying how you can create your own justice, right? By pivoting. And that's exactly what we see here. You can pivot away from this situation, which is what I feel like you're doing. But this person may be the one that's actually codependent on your energy and trying to convince you that you can't do it, that you need them. And if you know that's what they're doing, don't feed into it, okay? Because this is obviously someone that's codependent on your energy, right? So they want you to think that you can't do it by yourself. It's not true, okay? And like I always say, no one's truly an island anyway. So whatever support you need at any stage, at any step, there's always a way in which it can come in, right? The universe has its way of aligning the right situations and people in your life. So don't worry about that, okay? What matters is what you want to do, your output, right? What you want to focus on, what you want to prioritize. Don't let this person make you feel like you can't do it. You absolutely can. Yeah, look, the moon. So, again, I feel like there was a lot. There's a lot that you're still navigating when it comes to your emotions, when it comes to certain insights, okay? There is definitely going to be a lot of clarity that comes in. But again, it's a process, right? It's definitely a process. So don't expect that, you know, don't feel like because you don't necessarily have all of the answers, or you haven't fully grasped everything about the situation, or because there's some things that may still not be clear to you, that, you know, you don't know what you're doing, or you don't know what you're talking about, or you're not making the right decision. No, some things are meant to be sort of absorbed, soaked in, understood over time, right? It's not that you're supposed to have everything figured out and processed within a night. No, you know, this is a process. It takes time. So as you sort of carve out this new path, as you're processing everything that's transpired, there's going to be certain things that are brought to your awareness. There may even be certain triggers or certain things that you see just navigating life, and then it hits you like, oh, I totally get that now. Or like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that that was what was going on. That was the situation, or that's, you know, why I was having these issues, right? So it's a process. So don't be too hard on yourself for not having everything figured out immediately, okay? Yeah, exactly. Queen of Wands energy. So, yeah, Queen of Wands. So, again, in this, especially in this deck, it's a very, it's not a very nice energy, I've got to be honest, right? Because we're kind of looking at the shadow aspects as well. So with that Eight of Swords, and I'm really drawn to the fact like the tongue is emphasized in this card. So it's like, again, speaking fear over you, right? Yeah, judgment. Making you fear that you're making the wrong decision. Someone's trying to make you feel like you're making the wrong decision here. You can't do it without me. You can't have this business. You can't have this foundation. You can't create the life that you want to lead. Like, I'm sorry if you're dealing with someone like this. It does feel like, I'll be honest, it feels like verbal abuse. All right. So if you did deal with that, I'm so sorry. Because this is not okay. This is someone who spoke fear and doubt and negativity over you. Like, this is, it feels very, very toxic. You know, I don't know who this person is to you. This Queen of Wands energy could have been someone you was in a romantic relationship with. This could have been a sibling, a best friend, a colleague, like someone you was going into business with, because I got that as an example for some of you. But whoever this person was that you felt like was in your corner, they were really the adversary, I'm telling you. Because anyone who's truly in your corner would not project such negativity on you, right? To the point where it could affect your mental, make you feel like incapable, or like, you know, feeling very like just not confident, like lacking confidence or belief in self, or, you know, feeding you negative thoughts about yourself, because that's what it feels like. The energy is making me feel sick as well. So, oh no, this is a very negative energy. And with that judgment as well, this person is trying to make you feel like you're not capable. But it's BS, and you know it, right? The Sun. You've already made a decision here, but it's like this person's trying to psych you out of the decision that you've already made, which is nonsense. Like, no one, like, the thing is, right, if you are someone who is leaving a connection behind in whatever shape or form this is, right, I'm telling you, this is the adversary. This was someone who was never in your corner. Even if they try to pretend that they were your friend, that they were your partner, that they were your relative, right? Or your business partner. Like, I'm telling you, you had the adversary in your inner circle. I'm sorry to say, but you did. Whoever this person is to you, right? And because they know that this is done, this situation is ending for good, right? So even if you've had like a reconciliation in the past, or, you know, it was kind of like, you know, back and forth, this time it's not going to be that way. This is done for good, okay? And because this person picks up on that, it feels that energetically, they're trying to psych you out of the decision you're making, right? They want to make you feel like you're making the wrong choice. Yeah, Wheel of Fortune. Like, you know, some bad luck is going to befall you if you decide to strike out on your own, or leave this person behind, or not include them in some shape or form. But that's just not even true. Like, I'm sorry to say, but like, it's not even true. Well, I'm not sorry to say that. It's important that you hear that. But it's not even true. These are fear tactics. So, I really don't like this energy. Really don't like it. This feels very infernal, I've got to say. Very infernal. So this is someone who's actually very codependent on your energy. And you may not have realized it until recently, especially now that they're malfunctioning, because you are, setting a boundary here, right? And they don't want to honor that. No one is obligated to be in anyone's life. If someone has decided that that's it, they don't want to be part of that person's life for whatever reason, you have to honor that, right? No one is obligated, no matter who they are, to be in your life, especially as grown adults, right? It's different. Say, for example, like, if you're a child and that person is your guardian, your parent, yes, they absolutely have an obligation, not just morally, but legally, to your well-being, obviously. But if you're an adult, everyone's an adult in this situation, right? Like, no one is obligated to, show up for you or be in your, corner in this way, right? Especially when you're this negative and toxic. No. And that's the thing, right? And I feel like this is someone who feels entitled to you in some capacity, right? Especially if this is a relative or a partner. This is someone who feels entitled. That's what I'm getting from this energy, entitlement. And it comes through by the way they communicate. Like, this could be someone very demanding, always making demands, always having expectations, right? Asking, demanding, but never offering. And we talked about that in the beginning. Like, it's, oh, this is unreal. And that's the thing. A lot of people are always thinking about when they're connecting with people, what can I get out of this person? What can they do for me? Okay. When in reality, what we're supposed to be asking is, what benefit can I bring? What benefit am I to that person? What can I offer this person? What can I bring to the table to this person? If it's nothing, then leave that person alone, okay? Because they'll probably do a lot better without you, you know what I mean? It's like, if you bring nothing but venom and toxicity and a headache and stress and strife and conflict and demands, of course someone's going to end up giving up, Of course that person's going to end up so frustrated and drained to the point where they just can't do it anymore. They won't even want to be around them anymore. So I totally get that. So if that's someone you're dealing with, whoever this person is to you, right? They want to make you feel like if you leave them out in the cold, if you cut them off, or if you set strong boundaries with them, then something bad's going to happen to you. But that's not the case. Right? This person is using fear tactics, right? I'm really drawn to this. It's giving me evil eye, right? And I've got that here. So that may be something that could help you, right? If you feel like this person, even when you're not around them, is sending you a lot of negative energy, maybe having the evil eye could be of benefit, right? Or just, amp up your spiritual protection. That would be my advice, okay? Because this person may be doing a lot of word witchery, like trying to speak negativity over you, and it's just BS, right? So protect yourself, okay? But don't worry, this person is just doing all they can. It's like they're exhausting all of their avenues because they know, they're not going to have access to you. I don't know if you're dealing with an energy vampire, a narcissist, right? I'm not saying this person has the personality disorder, okay? We don't diagnose people. I'm just saying it's giving that kind of energy, right? Like someone who is, sorry, that was my chair, by the way, if you're wondering, because I was just picking up a card. But yeah, it's giving that kind of energy, especially if, this person acts this way. This is someone who's very codependent on your energy and your presence, right? So this person will make you feel like you can't do okay in life without them, or you need them to be successful or happy or stable or fulfilled, right? But that's not true. This person is heavily codependent on your energy, right? And you meeting their expectations and demands, and it's like they say jump and you say how high, no, that cannot be. Page of Wands, exactly. This is someone who's used to having their demands met by you. So you need to break down codependency here. That's what this comes down to. When you leave the situation, you're going to have to do a lot of healing around codependency. Yeah, you're going to need to. Because this is someone who's definitely heavily reliant on you, but you was feeding into the situation. Okay, so because it goes both ways. Yes, this person is codependent on you to fulfill the wishes and desires and to validate, right, their behavior, but you're enabling it by feeding into it, right? Page of Wands energy to that Queen of Wands. So again, a need for introspection. The Hermit takes some time away to process this. There's a lot of, I was about to say, thank you, Holy Spirit. The Guide, right, is the Hierophant in this deck. So there's a lot of good information out there when it comes to breaking down codependency, right? What you need to know about it, how you can heal from it, what you need to look at. You know, shadow work obviously is going to be very important because they had to have stemmed from somewhere. Yeah, Nine of Swords, right? And it's not easy. I get it. It's not easy because you may feel like as you navigate that process, you're going through another dark night of the soul, right? But I'm telling you, if you do that work, it will free you entirely from ever experiencing that again. You will not operate the same way. You will not look at things the same way. You won't entertain the same level of BS as you did in this situation. All right. And you'll truly start advocating for yourself. You will start showing the world how it is to treat you, how it is to interact with you. Okay. And people will respond accordingly. I'm telling you. That's why the universe is coming through, saying, I heard you. I saw your tears. I heard the pleas. I heard your pain. So I'm responding to it by what? Eight of Cups, liberating you from the situation. But now it's time to do the emotional processing. Eight of Cups going to the Hermit. Yeah, it's time for some solitude to process your emotions. Of course, if you need support, if you want to communicate with loved ones, trusted loved ones about what you're going through, of course, I'm not saying isolate yourself, no. But you are going to need time for yourself to process all of this, right? Especially, like I say, if this has been a long-standing situation, like that's a lot to deconstruct, right? So I get why you're in the Eight of Swords. Yeah, Seven of Wands. Boundaries. Yeah. So, yeah, researching boundaries. Because, yes, everyone talks about boundaries, but what does that actually mean from this situation? Dealing with this person? What does that actually mean moving forward? Right? What does it mean to truly advocate for yourself? Because that's what you're being called to do. Exactly, King of Swords. I know now. I know what it is that I need to do. Knowledge is power, but only when you know how to apply it as wisdom. And that's what you're being given the tools for. That's what you're being pointed in the direction of getting that information, insight, so you can utilize this knowledge that you receive, that you research, that you absorb, and actually apply it in a way where you're exercising wisdom. So again, you teach people moving forward how to interact with you, right? How to treat you, right? Standing on business, being very clear and discerning when it comes to what you tolerate and what you won't tolerate. Yeah. So, yeah, because I do feel like you have dealt with a pretty crappy hand there, right? But again, no one's forcing you to be in these kinds of partnerships. That's where discernment is going to be really key. Exactly, especially when it comes to who you choose to partner with moving forward, right? In the future. Who you choose to have as part of your life, especially on such an intimate level, whether it is as a relationship, right? A romantic partner, as a business partner, as a best friend, someone you consider family, right? Like, you have to be discerning. I cannot stress that enough, especially when you know that if you look at some of the most appalling crimes and situations that have occurred, a lot of the time it happens, you know, it is people who were part of that person's immediate circle that were involved or were directly, you know, responsible for the crime or the situation. So that's why you want to make sure that you properly vet whoever's part of that inner circle or whoever's part of your, you know, your life in a major way, right? The people who have the greatest access to you. Exactly. So you may be having an overhaul right now when it comes to your interpersonal relationships as a whole. Who you consider a friend, family, right? Who you consider a partner. So there's a very strong emphasis on discerning friend from foe. Yeah. Because I feel like in the past, You were blinded to it, but if you're honest with yourself, you were also willfully blinding yourself to certain red flags about, things that people were saying and doing and how they were behaving with you and how they were showing up. And I get it. That's not me criticizing you, because I've done it myself in the past, right? I feel like a lot of us have, especially when you do care a great deal for people. You let things slide that perhaps you really shouldn't. But I don't think you will moving forward, because you see now where that got you, right? And what ends up resulting from that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this major situation that is coming to an end is the start of you really actually, again, renegotiating your terms, right? Renegotiating your soul contracts with people, especially. Yeah. Because you may be realizing that some of these ties, these connections, these bonds you have with people really aren't it. And others, yeah, they are really important. They are really blessed, right? But maybe they don't even get to experience the best of it because you're too wrapped up in this situation, And then other relationships that are really high vibrational, that are very positive, suffer, So it's just something worth considering and processing at this time, right? Because like I've been saying for a while now, especially this year, there's a lot of contracts that's come to an end, especially karmic contracts. There's a lot of connections that are coming to an end. There's new ones being forged, right? There's a lot of soul ties that are finally being cut. Exactly, Ace of Swords with the Two of Cups. Right? So I'm telling you, interpersonal relationships as a whole have been going through a massive overhaul at this time. And so you're going to be able to see who's really for you, who's really in your corner, and who is actually like the adversary in disguise. I'm telling you, right? Because, like I say, the devil don't plant people who are at a distance from you, right? He'll whisper in the ear of those who are right next to you. And so for some of you, that's what you've been experiencing. That's what you're coming to realize. Yeah, so you don't want it anymore. You don't want to keep swallowing down their BS. You don't want to keep, drinking the poison that is their negativity, right? Packaging it as something else. Because there are a lot of you guys, it's got a lot to do with the way of communicating and the energy they're putting towards you is very negative. Exactly. It's very much like this. It's like they don't even want you to see how toxic they're being towards you, right? Just keeping you down, keeping you under the thumb. That's very oppressive, because that's what you experience. You experience depression in this connection. Whoever this person to you is a tyrant. They're a tyrant. Exactly. They don't want you to see your value with the Queen of Pentacles. They don't. But it's important that you recognize it, okay? What did I say? The devil. Okay, and you're going to remember this is an energy signature. Yeah, I'm telling you, right? It will latch itself onto the people that they know it can manipulate, that can be an adversary to you, that it can get some kind of access through, right? Using others to get access to you so it can feed off of your lights, so it can bring you down in frequency. I was having a conversation the other day about this with my partner, how, these frequencies, right, these infernal frequencies, energies, entities, will often connect with or even attach to people that they know, there is easy access to, right? Because of the frequency they're in already, or whatever situation they're facing, okay? Or however they're operating. They'll latch onto those people and use them to get access to the person they actually want access to, right? Because a lot of the time, that's the only way they can do it. So, especially if your frequency is high, you're constantly protecting yourself, cleansing yourself, you know what I mean? They'll then use the people closest to you. And I can tell you that from first-hand experience, okay? That's exactly the tactics they like to employ. And we have it here confirmed, right? So, yeah, I'm telling you, this person was the adversary, okay? Yeah, truth, Ace of Swords. But you know now, without a doubt that this person was sent in to cause a lot of destruction, okay? And especially when it comes to breaking you down. Because then once you're in a weakened state, it's easier for that frequency, that energy, that entity to get to you. You know what I mean? So, but you're wiser to it now, so you can start moving differently. Okay? Yeah. Queen of Swords. You got to be discerning. You got to be smart. Right? Read between the lines. Don't just take things at face value. Okay? And definitely don't let people poison you with their words. Okay? Especially when you know it's not coming from any meaningful or positive place, when it's coming from a place and a desire to essentially destroy you on some level. Okay? And I'm not saying this to scare you or to bring you down further. I'm saying this to give you a heads up, to warn you, right? Especially because you're still in the process of shifting out of this situation, environment, this connection, right? Yeah. So you're still learning the lessons, you're still integrating the understanding, you still have research to do, okay? But you are pulling yourself out of this situation, which is good, right? With the Chariot being here. So you're doing the right thing. So this is coming through as confirmation for someone that I'm telling you, you made the right choice by pulling out. Because this person's energy is horrible, absolutely horrible, right? And it's not your divine right to put up with that. No, you're not here to put up with that. No matter who the person is to you. I don't care if this is even a relative, like a blood relative of yours. You're not here to put up with that. Okay? So you're doing the right thing. For some of you, you may not even tell them that you're leaving, or, you may not even tell them your plans. You may just get up and go. Right? Because you know they've already been doing everything to try and stop you. For some of you, you may literally just pack your car one night when they're asleep or when they're away, right? Maybe work or doing something else. Pack up your stuff, pack up your car and just leave. It wouldn't surprise me. Because you don't want to give this person a chance to even convince you not to go. That's why. Because you know that they will. They'll try and talk you out of it. That's why you're going to do that. Exactly. So you're not even going to give them a chance to, again, use their words to wear you down and convince you that you're making the wrong choice. So I'd say you're doing the right thing. 100%. Yeah, exactly. Because you have people that care about you. That's the thing. This person doesn't care. Even if they say they do. They don't. This person is only going to give that illusion when they know that you are leaving, right? Even when you're gone and they realize you aren't coming back, yeah, then they'll layer the charm on thick. Then they'll say all these nice things to you, trying to convince you that they care or that they need you, right? Yeah, because they're needy. They're absolutely needy. But that doesn't mean that you tolerate their mess. No. And now I'm telling you, there are people who do genuinely care about you, okay? They'll show you support. Exactly. You have genuine connections in your life, but this person isn't one of them. I'm telling you, 4 of Cups. Don't keep buying into the nonsense. Yeah. I'm telling you, you're better off without them. With the Hermit. So, I'm really sorry if you dealt with someone like that recently. It's not pleasant. And unfortunately, these situations are all too common. But you're aware now. You're aware of what you've been dealing with, okay, what you've been putting up with, but you get to change it, okay? You take your power back by not feeding into it, okay? By standing on business when it comes to the decision you've made. You've already made it. Now you need to reinforce it, okay? You're already enforcing it on some level, but now you need to take those really courageous steps, okay? Even if you